Welcome. My name is Christian McDermott, Global Market Coordinator with Voovio, and we have a special guest here today, Todd Spengeman, Director of Standard Amines and Gas Treatment at BASF. So we're going to talk a little bit about the LNG and ammonia industries and BASF. So Todd, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is at BASF.
So at BASF, as you said, I'm the director for Standard Amines and Gas Treatment. And really what that's I'm responsible for all of the business for North and South America for Standard Amines, which is more of your commodity amines, and ethylene amines, ethanol amines, alkyl ethanol amines, a lot of the crazy chemistry names, plus the gas treatment business. And the gas treatment business is all about removing acid gas, CO2, and sulfur species out of an industrial gas like ammonia or natural gas to make LNG. So anything along those lines. I've been with BASF for 33 years. I started back in the late 80s and have been with BASF the whole time and spent 20 years in manufacturing. And now the last 13 years on the business side. So happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, we met at a workshop which focused on LNG and amine syngas, and so that's what these. I have a few questions about the LNG market and ammonia market. So how is the current demand for LNG driving expansion here in the US? And how competitive is US LNG?
Yeah, so I think that's, in 2022, it's been at the forefront of the news, especially with what's going on in Ukraine and in Europe. Even before that, LNG has been a real popular energy source from the US. Natural gas has been historically at a lower cost basis than in other parts of the world. So there's been a big driver for the production, for using the LNG, using natural gas to produce LNG. And basically what you do is compress it and get it extremely cold, and it liquefies, and then you can transport it across the ocean. Then you gasify it and use it at the different in the different countries in residential and commercial. And so there's been a pretty high demand for US natural gas, just based on let's say the price arbitrage, the profit that can be had. But in this year, in 2022, it's really been a shift. There's been even let's say a higher demand, and a shift from Asia to Europe. In the past, almost all of the LNG went to Asia, but this year in 2022, probably more than 60% in the first half of all LNG capacity was actually shipped to Europe. So, and I suspect that as that situation stays, we'll probably even see more, a higher percentage of LNG going to Europe as well. And that's probably one thing to also mention, is that the LNG industry, so converting natural gas to LNG, is still growing. There are a number of projects that are in the works and expect to be funded by the companies, by the individual companies, to move forward into construction. So I suspect that the LNG industry in North America will continue to grow and continue to be rather successful.
And so on the ammonia side, we touched in the workshop on using it as a fuel source. It's used mainly for fertilizer, if I'm not mistaken. But using it as a fuel source in industries such as shipping, how would that change the ammonia market here in North America?
Yeah. So right now most of the ammonia is either used as a fertilizer, and I would say the majority of it goes to fertilizers. I think we did an analysis one time, and like more than 90% goes into fertilizers. But there is still a large percentage that goes into, let's say, chemical and chemical industry to produce chemicals out of ammonia. Many amines, the amines that we use for for the gas treating goes into goes into using the ammonia to make those chemicals. It's the ammonia industry itself has been, it has struggled over the years. It's not surprising. There's been an excess of capacity and really, let's say, consolidation of the market. So it's been a real challenge. This year, let's say in the last 18 months, there's been some shifts with the consolidation. The plant run rates are higher. There's a lot more, let's say, opportunity within the ammonia industry. So I think the ammonia industry is getting stronger. There's also, as you allude to, using it as a fuel source. The one thing that, ammonia itself is a nitrogen atom with the carbon atoms added to that. And so there's no, nitrogen atom with hydrogen atoms added to that. So there's no carbon. So if you use the ammonia as a fuel source, it's carbon free. And so that's, with the world today, and that's what we're looking at, is trying to come up with a society that's a lower carbon footprint. And so that's definitely an opportunity. I mean, the marine industry is looking at that. They're also looking at using LNG as well, which is let's say, more efficient than bunker fuel. But the marine industry is looking at ways to improve their sustainable or their environmental impact. Ammonia is an opportunity. LNG is an opportunity. If they were to shift to ammonia, obviously there's some conversions that have to happen in the shipping industry. But really, surprisingly, it would be really a great growth opportunity for that ammonia industry, especially in the U.S. and Canada. With a lot of exports and a lot of shipping that are in the Gulf Coast, as well as the West Coast and along the Hudson River and the Great Lakes for the Eastern Europe, Eastern Canada and U.S. Lots of opportunity to use ammonia because it can be managed and handled rather safely. So that's definitely an opportunity. One thing I would like to add, and I was going to add before, but we met at a customer workshop where we talked about LNG and ammonia with our customers, and they use BASF technology, chemistry and technology in the purification of, let's say, the removal of the impurities or the purification of natural gas to make LNG, as well as it's the first step in producing ammonia. So you want to you take natural gas, you use that, you convert that to a carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen stream, and so you can use that is then used to produce the ammonia as well as LNG. So there's other aspects for carbon capture that would have to be done in the ammonia industries to make that really truly environmental friendly. But really, there's opportunities abound looking at ways to improve that environmental efficiency for the marine and other fuel sources.
And so, yeah, you guys, BASF, work very closely with LNG and ammonia producers, and of course, BASF produces huge amounts of products itself.
Yes.
So what are the types of challenges? What are the big challenges right now that you would say producers of LNG and ammonia and others have with regards to production?
Yeah, so but changing hats a little bit, we talked originally about gas treatments. I also have the Standard Amines side, which is the production of let's say industrial solvents. And the real challenge for the customers as well as myself in these, there's really two big ones: the supply chains and personnel as a resource. The supply chains, I think that's pretty well documented. We see in the news today, every day almost, that movements of raw materials, supplies, operations and maintenance supplies, even product, moving it across marine, across the oceans, even across land, are really challenging these days. I mean, it's difficult to move products from A to B. I mean, it's constrained assets. It's not enough, truck drivers and people. I heard one time that there is just in the port of Los Angeles area, there's a need for 200 drayage shipping truck drivers if they worked 24/7, it couldn't even solve the problem for a year to get rid of or to minimize the supply chain challenges. And so supply chain is one that's all over the place, and I alluded to it, resources, the personnel is probably the greatest challenge. We continue to see the chemical industry is one of those industries that's really not, sought after. It's not as seen as one of those really neat industries to be in. So it's really an older workforce, and you see quite a few retirements as well as movements, both internally and externally. So personnel is really an important resource that we are really struggling with in all aspects, marketing and sales, manufacturing. So we try to find and get the best people we can, try to hold on to them, and do whatever what we have to do to keep everybody, keep the team and keep everybody happy and marching to the goals that we're trying to achieve, and to keep the products going out the door for the customers.
Absolutely, yeah. That fits in very well to the next question, which is exactly about that: the personnel, the skills gap. Our customers as well in downstream and midstream, and even upstream companies, they have a skills gap that's growing, and you just said it. Retirements. So some people have been, let's say, downsizing and offering nice retirement packages to those people that have been there for a long time, but also turnover, employee turnover. You've got a new generation of the workforce coming in. They're different, and some of them have, let's say, less manufacturing experience than previously. So talking about the skills gap, how do you think that's really impacting or affecting LNG and ammonia, or ammonia's amine syngas?
Yeah. So I mean, the skills gap is huge. I mean, that's really a challenge, and it's really an important aspect. Retaining manufacturing expertise is critical. One of the things that we definitely are trying to do in my organization, as well as the customers, in my organization, I'm trying to put young people with old people experience and people that don't have as much experience together, so there can be some of that interaction, some of that that knowledge transfer. That's really important. We had after we met at the customer workshop internally within BASF, we had our own workshop in Germany, where that was, we spent 2 whole days out of the week talking about how do we put in place actions to improve that skills gap and that knowledge gap. And so that's a real challenge for us on the marketing, the sales side. It's really trying to create that interaction. On the manufacturing side, it's really tough on the manufacturing side, because it's hard to transition. It's hard to put experience with inexperience and have that transition out, have that knowledge transfer. So it's really difficult. I mean, at the Geismar site, at the Geismar site where we produce amines, and some of the amines that are in my portfolio, we use the Voovio technology as one of those solutions. There are many solutions, but that's been a cornerstone for us in making sure that we have that, have something to try to minimize that knowledge gap for sure. And that's why I thought it was so important and interesting to bring you guys in with our customers with the LNG and ammonia, because they're facing the same thing. Interestingly enough, for the LNG and the ammonia industry, it's a bit larger of it's a smaller pool, let's say, of resource pool, but it's also extended, and it's a larger pool, where you see the North American customers that we had, the North American sites that were there at the workshop, yet almost all of those folks were international in experience. So you see a lot of especially the LNG, they move around from site to site or internationally, and moving around companies. And that's how the LNG is trying to, let's say, reduce that knowledge gap is putting experience with inexperience, but they're not afraid to take somebody that's spent 5 years in Australia and move them to the Gulf Coast in the United States, or move them to in Indonesia or someplace like that. So you see a lot of movement within the ammonia and the LNG industry, especially to try to minimize that gap for sure. And that's why I thought it was such an interesting technology that you guys provide to do that in as one step to help improve that knowledge gap. It's helped us at BASF in Geismar, and hopefully it'll help our customers as well. That's I think that's what we're all trying to do, is make ourselves more important and bring value to our customers, for sure.
And do you think the industry is doing enough to close this skills gap?
That's a real tough question. I think we could always be doing more. I think that as we get more innovative and as technology improves, we see more ideas and opportunities to be more efficient. And I think that's maybe the biggest challenge. Are we doing enough? We'll never do enough. I mean, if there was enough, we would never have to talk about a knowledge gap. But I don't think we'll ever get there. But I think the key is to try to minimize that to some extent. I mean, you see a lot of in the manufacturing here along the Gulf Coast, we're looking for experienced people that have advanced degrees. Most of the let's say community colleges, junior colleges are offering process technology degrees to try to improve that knowledge gap, build a better base, so that the companies themselves then can take that and take that base and move it up to a higher level. So I think we could always do more. And I think as we get innovative, especially with, you're talking about virtual reality and new technology, that's going to help reduce that knowledge gap. But I don't think we'll ever get rid of it.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge, but definitely utilizing all, more tools in the toolbox to give operators or people in those manufacturing plants let's say the right tools to be more successful faster is key. And you mentioned colleges. Actually, we do work with some of the colleges that provide P-Tech graduates in Louisiana and Texas. We're slowly expanding our collaboration with them, because that's key as well, getting those graduates into the manufacturing realm with the right skills, and so they stay there.
Absolutely. But, and that's I think that's really important, because you see most of the industries or most of the companies in industry are also trying to partner with these colleges to try to improve that P-Tech, to try to solidify that real base of knowledge, so that those opportunities, so that when we get those folks in the door, we're focused on product and process specific tasks, and all of that base level knowledge is there. And it's a solid base, so that we can take those further steps forward to make them experts. Because you see those manufacturing folks often spend 10, 20 years in the process. They become the experts to the process, and we have to rely on those folks to be the experts, to bring up issues, to help to move those process steps forward, the production facilities forward, both safety wise and technical. Absolutely,
couldn't agree more. But thank you, Todd. No, that was it. So really appreciate the time. It was great to see you again, and hope to see you again soon. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.